Hello everybody, welcome back to our discussion in dynamics. Today I believe it's the last discussion this semester, yes? And here is plan for today. We'll do very brief final review, then we'll do one exam style example, and then mic is yours. Then you can ask me any question you want related to dynamics, of course. Okay, so without further ado, let's start our final review, okay? So here are 4 topics that will be covered on the final, yes? And I'm not sure if I should say it before that review. I'm going to generate a PDF file of this document, okay? And I'm going to send it to you via email, okay? So you can either do your notes right now, or you can wait for them coming in the email, okay? It's up to you. So as I was saying, these 4 topics are covered on the final. We have here kinematics, kinetics, work energy, and momentum of rigid bodies. My goal today is to just talk about them very briefly, talk about each of them very briefly, okay? So when it comes to kinematics of rigid bodies, I have nothing much to say. Just what's behind kinematics of rigid bodies. We have their velocity and acceleration analysis between some 2 points, point A and B, point J and I, point P and Q, I don't know. And we wrote down these equations like 3 billion times this semester, right? And you guys understand what they do, what these equations do, right? They just relate velocities and accelerations between 2 points. I have nothing else to add. Is it okay? Can we move forward? Yeah. There was even like one discussion that we used it like too many times. Yes, that was that one boring discussion. Yeah, I hope you remember. I actually hope you forgot that discussion, but yeah. Okay, I have nothing else to say about kinematics of rigid bodies. However, about kinetics of rigid bodies, I would like to say something. So what do we have in here? We have a rigid body. We know its mass and moment of inertia about point C, and point C is center of mass, yes? And we know the location of center of mass. Okay, and then we also know that there are some forces acting on our body, and there are some moments rotating our body. Yeah. So we show all of that on FBD. While on KD, we show our inertia forces. But you all know that as well. We did it 3 billion times during this semester as well. So once we have our FBD and KD, we can actually write equations of motion, yes? Where we can equal forces acting on the system to mass times acceleration of center of mass. And we also can write our Euler equation, yes? Where we can sum all the moments acting on the system, and we can equate them to IC times alpha body. Where and by the way, the most important part in here is that we just sum those moments up about point C, and this is equal to IC alpha body, where C is center of mass. So that's it. That's how you write equations of motion about rigid body. However, if you locate a pin in the system, oh, sorry. Then you can replace these equations. I'm going to erase it. You can replace this equation with this equation. Sum of moments about this pin is equal to IA alpha body. Okay, don't use these 2 equations together. Yeah, go for either this one or that one. Okay, that's that when it comes to theory behind kinetics of rigid bodies. Now, solution steps. I usually take such solution steps when it comes to when I detect that the problem can be solved via kinetics of rigid bodies. Okay, before I cover these solution steps, there is a question, Trevor.
Yeah, can you write the equation from going between IC and IA?
IC.
Like it's something to, yeah, for the going from like the moment MC is equal to IC upper body. There's like there's a IA to IC. There's like some equation, right? Like the parallel axis theorem, something like that.
It's acceleration analysis. Yeah, I don't use these equations. Do you want me to write it around the longer equation? I don't understand the question. No, you can talk right now, right here, right now.
Right, using the rate between.
Yes, there is such equation. I don't use this equation. Yes, that's my answer. Yeah. What that's supposed to mean? Don't do that, please. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I answered my, yeah. So usually, I know what equation you talk about, the one with like a correction. Yeah, so I never use that equation. Yeah, I usually go for this equation about center of mass, or if I locate a pin in the system, I go for this equation. And that's all. That's all I do. I don't do that equation. I don't never use.
I don't know what IA is based on pin.
IA is moment of inertia of body about that point A.
Right.
Oh.
So what you've done? So you use parallel axis to find that, right?
Who is stupid? I'm stupid. Okay, now I understand your question. Yes, my friend. IA is equal to IC plus md squared. Yes, where m is mass of the body and d is distance between A and C. Thank you, Trevor. Okay, solution steps. So I usually write FBD and KD. Then I write down equation of motion that are compatible with my FBD and KD. Then 99% of the time we will end up with more unknowns than equations. Yes. And that's why we need to introduce more equations into our system, yes, into our solution. And how do we find these equations? We go for kinematic constraints. We can go for some friction law or some other tricks you learned during the semester. And yeah, and then you will end up with exactly the same number of equations and unknowns, yes? And then dynamics stops and mathematics starts, yes? Then you just have to solve that system of equations you ended up with. Easy? Okay. So when it comes to work energy of rigid bodies, we will just go for our old good friend, this expression. T1 plus V1 plus U12 non-conservative is equal to T2 plus V2. Another question is, what is the difference between this expression for particles and rigid bodies? There's not much differences besides maybe two. First of all, the question is how to calculate the kinetic energy of rigid body. You can go for this expression, but before we talk about that expression, I think we should first have a look at that drawing, right? So in this drawing, we just have a rigid body. We know its mass and moment of inertia about center of mass. Plus, we know velocity of center of mass and omega of that body, right? So if we know all of that, then we are able to write down this equation, yes? Because kinetic energy of rigid body will be equal to 1/2 m Vc squared plus 1/2 Ic omega squared. First of these terms is called linear kinetic energy of the rigid body, and second one is called rotational kinetic energy of rigid body. However, if you locate a pin in the system, then you can use equivalent expression to calculate the kinetic energy of rigid body. You can calculate it via 1/2 IA omega squared, where A is a pin. And again, IA is equal to IC plus MD squared. This time, Trevor, even that the distance D is marked on the drawing. Yeah, this is parallel axis theorem. Parallel axis theorem. Or in some countries, this is called Steiner's theorem. For some reason in US, you don't like naming theorems after somebody. I don't know why. In my country, all the theorems are named after somebody, like Steiner's theorem, for example, yeah, or Koenig's theorem. We don't use this long term for this expression. We just call it Koenig's theorem. Yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about it. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, besides probably Newton and Euler, yes, yeah. Okay, there are a lot of theorems of Euler, yes. And I have a funny story about Euler, so maybe after that review I can tell you. Okay. So that's that when it comes to theory about work energy of rigid bodies. Ah, no, there is one thing I forgot, yes, because there is one difference between rigid bodies and particles when it comes to calculating potential energy. Potential energy is mgh, where h is elevation of center of mass this time, okay? And now we can rapidly move to solution steps when it comes to work energy method. So usually what I do, I just write down this expression, then I find these 5 guys. Then I just plug them, once I found them correctly, of course, I plug them back into our original expression, and that's usually enough. Yeah, then we have one equation and one unknown. Okay, one equation, one unknown, and the rest is algebra. You must just solve it. Okay. I'm a little bit unhappy with that review. Shall I speed up? Yeah, or is it okay? Yes? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of reviews anyway. Okay, when it comes to momentum of rigid bodies, that's better, I think. This is what I usually do. When I detect that problem can be solved via momentum of rigid bodies, momentum methods, I just start with the drawing momentum diagrams. I draw a momentum diagram for time instant initial, momentum diagram for time instant final, and in here I show all the impulses acting on the body. So what do I show on momentum diagram at time instant initial? I just show velocity of center of mass and omega that rotates our body. Analogically, at time instant final, I show velocity of center of mass final plus omega final that rotates our body. And in here, I just show all the forces and the moments acting on our body. Once we have momentum diagrams, we can write down linear impulse momentum equations along the x direction, along the y direction. Yep. And also we can write impulse momentum equation for the rotational motion, yes, here. And we can write that equation about any point P we want, yes? However, there are special cases, yes? I usually write that expression about center of mass, if needed, or some pin, anyway. But we will get there, okay? I think I speed it up too much, okay? So, okay, we can write down this expression for angular momentum. And now the question is how to calculate this angular momentum. Yes, we can use this general expression, this long general expression to find our h about point P. However, there are some special cases, yes, that simplifies this expression significantly. So for example, if you would like to write down angular momentum about center of mass, just write this one. It's much simpler than the previous one, right? Also, if you locate a pin in the system, you can simplify this expression into this expression. Where again, IC is usually given and IA can be calculated using parallel axis theorem. And again, D is distance between points C and A. Okay, solution steps when it comes to momentum methods. So I usually draw momentum diagrams. Then I write down momentum equations that correspond to my diagrams. Then if I ended up with more unknowns than equations, I just again look for some more equations. Yes, so I just go for kinematic constraints, maybe some friction law, or maybe some other tricks you again learned during the semester. And then that's it. Then once we have the same number of equations and unknowns, we can just use our magical mathematical skills, yes, to solve them. Yeah, so this is also extended answer to, to Trevor's question, because yeah, we have like 4 topics covered on that exam, but there is also a 5th hidden one called parallel axis theorem. That we already talked about. Okay. I don't know. How about that review? I don't know. That's that when it comes to review. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah, Christina. What are the one more time?
What did that give us? What did that do? It's probably on some of the homework. Roll about step problem. I was expecting friction. There was no friction in work. But like, it's the reason that it is not slipping.
Yeah, because if it's not slipping, there is like that point of contact does not do any displacement. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I will try to answer that question. Okay, so you would like me to summarize that knowledge, kind of? I will try to do it. Yeah, I did 1 hour ago, and I must be honest with you, it didn't end up well. Okay, so please be patient with me. Okay, so I like talking about examples. No, I don't like talking about general stuff. Yes, that's why maybe I'm not good at it. Yeah, but okay. Anyway. So let's say that we have a body here, okay? And let's say, Christina, that for sure this point of contact, A, that point has velocity VA. Question to you, do we have slip or no slip in this case? Slip, perfect. Then we have a slip, yes. So if VA is not equal to 0, then we have slip. And then usually what is not known, or actually what is known, then we know that TF is equal to mu Kn. Yes? But this is a price we paid for one thing, because then we don't know what is AX. We don't know this component. Okay, so this is a trade. We know this, but we don't know that. But don't worry, usually this is not that needed, yeah. Okay, now the question is, what happens if VA is 0? Not really. Then if VA is 0, then we don't know yet what happens, yes? Because then we can have sleep or no sleep. I hope I'm not gonna make you confused today, okay? So, if we have a VA equal to 0, we should first of all assume that TF is lower or equal to mu Sn, okay? And that AAX is 0. So assume no sleep, Okay, since we assume, I'm just gonna put question mark in here, okay, next to that inequality. So now, if we solve that problem, so now your goal, guys, is to check, you must check if this is true, if this inequality is true. Okay, so basically you guys have to find TF. Of course, after you draw FBD, KD, equations of motion, yes, you will end up with some set of equations, and then you will have to find, based on that equations, TF and N. TF will be, I don't know, 300, let's say, newtons, and N will be 500 newtons, and mu S is 0.5. Okay, let's maybe even let's do like that. So in this case, do we have sleep or no sleep? Sleep, yeah, because we will end up with 300 being lower than 250. Not true. Yes, so in this case, our assumption was incorrect. In this case, we have actually sleep because our TF was larger than mu Sn, right? So what do you do, guys, in this case? You have to project TF on our Coulomb's cone, so-called, yes? So that means that our TF will be again equal to mu Kn, and our AAX is again unknown. So it's exactly the same case as in here. Did I lose you so far? Okay. So this will happen. This will happen if this inequality occurs in our solution. Okay. But what will happen if that will be 700, for example? That during our solution process we'll end up with such values. Then this is true. Then this is true. Okay, this is true. So we will have no sleep indeed. Indeed, we will have no sleep in our system. And then our TF is not known Yeah, because I mean TF is basically somewhere below mu Sn, but we actually found it. It's 300. Yes. So our TF will be 300 in this case. Yeah. So it will be, let's say TF will be 300 newtons. Oh, I know what my point in here is. That in here you don't have to project anything. In here you don't have to project anything. Okay. In here just take TF from your solution steps. Okay. And also we know something. We know that AAX is 0 in here. Oh, Christina, always hard questions. Sorry. That would be my summary. Who is confused? Who is confused besides me? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. In here you have I mean of this point, of point C. Yeah. AAC. Yes. Then in this case you assume AC X equals to negative alpha R. Yes. 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 Because if it is sleeping, you don't know this value. Yes. Yeah. So sleep means no, actually sleep means this. Sleep means that velocity of this point is 0. Okay. No, it's not 0. Yes, sleep means that this is not 0. Silence, please. Yeah. Velocity is not 0. If the velocity of this point is not 0 for sure, there is sleep. However, if it is 0, then you also have to check this condition, yes? And if it's true, then you have no sleep. But if it is not true, that means that in a second it will sleep. Okay, that's why it's like that's what I said to Ian like 2 weeks ago, I believe. The dynamics is not only about what happens at this time instant. It's also what happens like infinitesimal time instant from right now. More confused? I don't know. I am. The best would be to solve the problem, probably, yes? With this, yes. Okay, there was a question there. Okay, Trevor.
So, if this is our spinning wheel, right, on the table, if there is translation with no rotation, that means that there's slip. But if there is strictly rotation with no translation, that means there's no slip.
Yes.
Is there ever like rotation and translation?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course. Have you ever bowled? Like bowling? Yeah. Okay. You?
If on an exam we're told to assume slip or no slip, do we still need to check that condition?
No. Okay. It said that there is no sleep. There is no sleep. If there, yeah. Another question? Ian.
So we know that the acceleration is negative alpha r, and about the velocity, the relationship, angular velocity again.
Start from beginning. Sorry, start from beginning.
So, like, if we know there's no slip, what's the relation between angular velocity and the radius?
Oh, if there's no slip? Oh, that's the relation. Oh. Yeah. If there is slip, then we have a problem, yes, because we don't know much about this point. Yeah. But if there is no slip, we know that velocity is 0 and AAX is 0. Okay. The best would be to solve the problem probably like that, yeah? Okay, I'm waiting for more questions. Maybe let's solve one problem, okay? One exam style problem, yeah. Maybe this one. I like this one. Take some time and familiarize yourself with the problem statement before we start our solution. Just to save some time, I'm just going to draw what happens at configuration 2, okay? Okay. Omega final. Okay. Okay, so how would you solve that problem? Kinetics, work energy method, or momentum method? Work energy, I heard somebody saying. I didn't hear anybody, to be honest. Yeah. But anyway, this will be work energy method, okay? So without much thinking even, I'm going to write T1 plus V1 plus U12 non-conservative is equal to T2 plus V2. Okay, and then without much thinking, I'm going to go for T1 plus V1, T2, V2, U12 non-conservative. Okay, let's find these 5 guys. I believe that system starts from rest. Yeah, so we can write 0 in here. Okay. Oh, and maybe before we start, just configuration 1 is presented here, and configuration 2 is just drawn by me here. Okay, so what is V1? I believe that springs are unstretched, yes? So in here we should write V1 from gravity plus V1 from springs. But they told us that springs are unstretched at configuration 1, okay? So we can put 0 here. And also let's place our datum here maybe. As you can see, all the masses are aligned with our datum at configuration 1. That means that this is also 0. Okay? So we have 20% of the problem done. Let's do 60% then. What is T2? We have some velocity at the end, yes? And this is a pin. So I would write here 1/2 IA bar omega final squared, right? Plus kinetic energy of this mass, M2, plus 1/2 M2 V squared. I don't know what is the name of that point. VB squared. This point is B. Okay. Let's relate VB and omega F. This distance is A, by the way. This distance is A. So VB will be omega F A. Just that? I believe so. So okay, so we end up with 1/2 IA bar M plus M2 A squared omega final squared. Drew?
Do you not need any of like the like IB or like W after the VB because the point mass? So it's only you don't need any rotation stuff. Does that allow you? Like why is there not the second part of the equation of the like plus like I plus like 1/2 I omega squared for the V the point mass?
Oh yes, of course. It's because it's a point mass. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And let's use also parallel axis theorem to find IA bar. Actually, we don't have to. It's 1/3 M bar, whatever it was, A squared. 1/3 M bar IA squared. Yes, I use parallel axis theorem in my mind. Yes. Anyway, it's moment of inertia of bar about one of its ends. Okay. How about V2? V2 is complicated to find, I think. So again, we'll have V2 due to gravity and V2 due to springs. Okay. So I think that our centers of masses are below our datum. Yes? One of them is here. And the other one is here. So what is this distance? Maybe somebody can tell me. And what is this distance? This will be A times sine 45. And this one will be 1/2 of that, yes? So it will be a half sine 45 degrees. Okay, so we can write in here, this will leave on the dessert, okay? So this, we can write in here that this is basically minus m bar a half square root of 2/2. Yes, sine 45 degrees is sine square root of 2/2 minus m of little mass, that point mass, a square root of 2/2. Oh, I forgot about one spring. Yes, there's a spring in here. Sorry, guys. Sorry for that. Okay, so what is energy accumulated in that blue spring that just appeared in our drawing? I think it had K1, spring constant. It will be 1/2 K1, and what's the theta squared? What's theta? 45 degrees. And in radians, 45 is pi over 4, I believe. Yes, pi over 4. Yeah. Okay. And we have another spring in the system, yes? And it's also linear spring, so it will be 1/2 K2 delta L squared. And that delta L we must find. So delta L will be L initial minus L final. It's the other way around. L final minus L initial. Actually, in this case, doesn't matter because we are going to square it anyway. But just to be consistent, L final minus L initial. L initial is easy to find. Yes, L initial is B. This is our length of our. This is the length of our spring. So it will be L final minus B. And now the question: what is L final? Let's see. So this is our L final. This is our L final. So what I would go for this triangle. I would go for this triangle. So we know already one of the sides of this triangle, right? Because we know that this green one is A sine 45 degrees. So this is A square root of 2 over 2. And now the question is, what is the side of this triangle? What I'm talking about? What is this side of this triangle? This black one. I don't think so. That it's B. We know that this is A plus B. Yes? This is A plus B. Yes, Christina? Yes. And Christina observed that this guy, that this distance is A cosine 45 degrees. Yes. So that means that this distance will be A plus B minus A square root of 2 over 2, yes? Because cosine 45 degrees is also, yeah. Wow. So that means that our L final will be following. L final will be following. It will be square root of A plus B minus A square root of 2 over 2 squared plus A square root of 2 over 2 squared. Yeah, you must exercise a little bit with your calculator, yes? And I will tell you later. Yeah, so this is time consuming. I like that problem actually. This is kind of exam problem, yeah, because like everything is easy besides one thing, yeah. Besides that one thing, that is also easier, but you must exercise a little bit here, yes? Okay, so we found this one. Okay, so we found everything, yes? I mean, 80% of the problem done, yes? Because we found this, and now we found that also, yes? Yeah, we are going to solve it symbolically, okay? Because I don't have it calculated. Any questions so far? Yeah. Who is lost? Besides me. But I am lost all my life, actually. So it's fine. Okay. And by the way, we don't have any friction in the system or any forces acting on our system. So actually 100% of the problem done because this is 0. Okay. So we found our things. Let's plug everything back into our original equation. So we will have, basically 0 plus 0 plus 0 is equal to this. Plus or actually minus, sorry. Minus this plus this. Where delta L is this. And we found L init and L final we must find using our calculator. Okay, so how many unknowns do we have? Only one, I think. Oops. This is our only unknown. Omega F. So yeah, so we ended up as usually with one long equation with one unknown. And everything else is known. Yeah. We don't know K2. Aha, yeah, so we know VF. Yeah, I was just double checking if you guys pay attention. No, of course I'm kidding. Yeah. So we don't know K2, yes? We know omega F, we don't know K2. Okay. So just find it at home, yeah. Okay, that's it when it comes to review. Any questions? Yeah. So I just would like to thank you for today and thank you for the entire semester. Thank you. Bye.